Part 4. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 32. Is there any misunderstanding? I know better than you. Stop talking and eat your food. Wanzu made it clear that he didn't want to mention this matter. For any man, being a cuckold would be unbearable, especially, for a man like Wanzu who is very chauvinistic. Zhao Qing's betrayal was even more intolerable to him. Although he did not publicize it to the outside world after it happened, the fact that the man was like honey surrounding Zhao Qing was so, who in the city doesn't know. Wanzu Yi was used to giving orders, and when he asked Lily to eat, his tone was a bit tough and domineering. Lily wanted to eat. She felt as if she had run a 50,000-meter long distance yesterday, but now she felt a little she was not even wearing any clothes. Although she was occupying the body of someone else's daughter-in-law, she was the one who was alive now. She didn't want Wanzu to take advantage of her, so she hesitated and said, "Put it aside, I'll eat it after I put on my clothes." "You are already mine, haven't I touched you before? Why are you embarrassed?" Wanzu said this seriously, but he felt something was wrong. His ears felt hot and he was about to stand up. Lily was already angry. However, she picked up the pillow and threw it at him. This action of hers was purely subconscious. She had done this in the past after Lin Pingzi annoyed her. As soon as the thing was thrown out, Lily was stunned for a moment, and then she thought it became sour. There was no exception. She couldn't throw things to Lin Pingzi before, so naturally she couldn't throw them to Wanzu now. Wanzu caught the pillow, a look of doubt flashed in his eyes, and then he saw her childish behavior. It's funny, but when he saw the worried look in Lily's eyes, his heart immediately turned cold. What are you thinking about? He was also a man, so he could naturally see what Lily was thinking at the moment, and he probably had something going on. Son, but because of Lily's simple background, he knew it well and didn't think there was anything about Lily that warranted such an expression. What's more, the man's keen sense made him feel that Lily was thinking of another man at the moment. If he hadn't found out on the wedding night that she was the only man, Wanzu would have been embarrassed by now. "Miss you," Lily spoke subconsciously, causing a slight smile to appear on the corner of Wanzu's mouth. He hesitated for a moment, put the food on the table next to him, and at the same time found the clothes he had folded for her in the morning and came over to replace them. She wore it. In the past, he was a little dissatisfied when a grown man did such a thing, but for some reason, now that she was too tired to get up from the bed, Wanzu was very satisfied and happy, and waited for her again. She no longer felt any impatience, but instead felt a bit like pampering. "I want to wear it myself." He was willing to put down his posture, but Lily didn't dare to accept it. She grabbed the clothes and put them on under the quilt. Wanzu had military duties in the afternoon, so he naturally went out again. At night, the soul is still floating in the sky, and the passion is playing below. In Wanzu's heart, his recent wife seems to have changed. She does not have the aloof and cold temperament before, but has changed a lot, which makes him like to return more and more. When he got home, even if she did nothing, cooking for her by himself didn't feel wrong like it did at first. Sometimes he always wanted to hold Lily in his arms and feed her, but unfortunately Lily didn't want to. Contrary to what he felt, Lily became more and more aware of the strength in Wanzu's character. He felt as if he was keeping him as a pet. Sometimes when he refused his unreasonable request, his expression would be a little unhappy. It seems that he has to arrange food, clothing, housing, and transportation for him to feel at ease. In other matters, he is obedient to Lily, but at night he becomes unusually strong. At this time, Lily's soul is no longer in the body, and all of Wanzu's reactions are instinctive reactions. There is no shyness, no resistance, only the instinctive feeling of pain and joy brought by Wanzu, which is truly reflected after she came out. She would not hold back the pain or pleasure like the previous owner, and just feel whatever was in her heart. This kind of true performance obviously pleased Wanzhou, and it was even better for her. Point. The two have been married for such a long time, and now Wanzhou really begins to feel what it is like to have a wife. Obviously, he was wrong to think that he liked Zhaoqing before, but now he realizes that he has feelings for Lily. This feeling is true like and love. But if things were that simple, Lily would have nothing to worry about. In the previous life, Zhaoqing was with other men, so Wanzhou left her. Therefore, both Wan's father and Wan's mother hated her. The Wan family would scold her once they met her, but instead treated her with a curse. Lily was both respectful and a little guilty. But after Zhaoqing was reborn, the first thing she did was to apologize to Wanzhou's parents and admit her mistake, because she had worked hard. If Wan's parents had looked down on her and didn't like her, they wouldn't have told her about her. The proudest eldest son, so although the parents of the Wan family were angry with Zhaoqing at first, they quickly forgave her because Zhaoqing admitted her mistake. After Lily lived as a nanny for several months, it was like being forced to be raised by Wanzhou. Wan's parents packed up their bags and went to the city. Because of their different identities, Wanzhou lives in the compound of the military area, not in the army. Wan's father and mother have come here once before, but they are used to living in the countryside, so they are a little confused about the houses and roads in the city. When she finally asked at the door of the house, Lily had just returned to the body from the soul state for a while. At this time, her whole body seemed to be falling apart, and her body was covered with bruises and marks. She heard a knock on the door outside. She got off the ground with trembling legs, and a lot of heat surged out of her body. By the time she tidied herself up in embarrassment, put on her clothes and went to open the door shivering, Wan's parents were already impatient. Her hair had not been tied up at the moment, and her smooth black hair was hanging loosely behind her back. She was wearing a pajamas, and she looked like she had just gotten up. Wan Mu's face suddenly stretched like a loofah. He endured the anger in his heart and said reluctantly, "It's already this time, Lily is still sleeping." Wanfu didn't say anything, but his expression was very ugly. He held a pipe in his hand and smoked it several times. When he saw Lily going to pick up the things they brought at the door, but couldn't lift them after several times, he angrily put the things away. He screwed himself into the house. It's almost noon now. Wanzhou usually either buys food from the canteen and goes home at this time, or comes back to cook it by himself. Lily is usually woken up by him at noon. At this time, Wan's parents when I came over, I saw Lily still sleeping. The room was deserted, there was no sound at all, and her face was very ugly. Book lovers are welcome to come and read, the latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 33. At this time, Wanzhou came back with the groceries he had just bought. Lily had been tortured a lot by him recently and she had lost a lot of weight. He wanted to buy something to make up for her, so he specially asked someone to do it for him. I bought a chicken to make soup so that she would not cry for mercy every time I touched her. Unexpectedly, when she entered the house, she saw her parents coming. Wanzhou smiled, put down the things in his hands and entered the kitchen, smiling, "Dad, Mom, why are you here?" "Thankfully we are here, otherwise how would we know what kind of life you are living now?" When Wan Mu saw that her son, who was like a god in her mind, was now buying vegetables and cooking for Lily, her nose almost became crooked with anger. If it weren't for Lily's high status, she would have already cursed at this moment. But just because she couldn't curse, she held back the anger in her heart, and she felt more and more that marrying Lily was not as good as Zhaoqing before. "What kind of life have I been living?" Wanzhou Chao glanced at Lily, saw her lazy look, moved his fingers, but still endured the thoughts in his heart. To be honest, now that he is in his position, it's okay to hire a nanny if Lily doesn't cook at home, but he just doesn't want to hire one. He enjoys the feeling of feeding her, just like raising a pet. When Wanzu thought of this, a dark light flashed in his eyes returned to their previous calmness. You still say? You are from a man's family. How can a man buy food? Do you still have to cook? Wan's father knocked on the table angrily and glanced at Lily sideways. Zhu frowned slightly and winked at Lily, but saw that she didn't know whether she really didn't see it or pretended not to see it. She stood there without moving. He narrowed his eyes, stood up and pulled Lily over. He calmly said to his parents, "Mom and Dad, what time is it now? Men and women are the same. What's wrong with me cooking?" Although after their son became successful, Wan's parents actually did not dare to teach him a lesson. After all, the older his son was, the more he had ideas. In addition, his status was different now. Wan's mother usually felt guilty when she saw this son, so how could she return the favor? Teach him how to do things. But she didn't expect that he would be willing to cook for Lily at this moment. Wan's mother turned blue with anger and subconsciously said, "You are still willing to cook for her now, are you going to lick her ass in the future?" As soon as she finished speaking, Wanzu glanced at Lily, with an expression that seemed to be a smile but not a smile. When Lily saw this expression, she subconsciously clamped her legs together. Although Wan's parents were very dissatisfied with their son's behavior, they could not make Wan happy. Therefore, the two of them talked for a long time, which was like saying nothing. Wanzu usually has to go to the army in the afternoon. Most of the time, he would do some special training with his old subordinates to vent his excess energy and handle some official duties. But at this time, his parents after coming over, Wanzu naturally didn't go anywhere, so he simply took Wan's father and mother around the compound, planning to drive them to the city center tomorrow. During dinner in the evening, Wan Mu had a drooped face. "There are exactly 2 rooms tonight. Your wife and I will sleep in one room, and you and Dad will sleep in the same room." She had something to say to Lily, and she had been holding it back all day. Since her son couldn't make sense, she planned to discuss it with Lily, starting with her daughter-in-law, and let her know that she couldn't be like this as a woman. Unexpectedly, Wanzu shook his head and said, "In your own home, you don't have to pay so much attention. Just live in the same room as Dad." After he finished speaking, he put down the dishes and wiped the dishes without giving Wan a chance to speak. "Wipe your mouth." After dinner, Lily washed the dishes and boiled hot water for her parents-in-law to wash up. Before Wan's mother gave up, Wanzu had already carried Lily, who also wanted to sleep with Wan's mother, directly into the house. His eyes lit up when Wan's mother said those words today, and Lily complained in her heart, but Wanzu would not allow her to resist on such a matter, so he directly pressed her to the bed. Naturally, there was a make-out session next. Wan's mother gave Wanzu a good idea today. Lily's soul floated out, but she still has to be a human being. She will have to face Wanzu's parents tomorrow. If she lets her go tonight, her body's instinctive reaction was overnight, and tomorrow she would be able to see the faces of all her fathers and mothers without even thinking about it. She stood nearby and desperately wanted to cover the body's mouth. She didn't know if her action was really effective. When Wanzuban's face was buried under Lily's body, she let out a suppressed gasp from her nose. One night passed, and Lily began to feel that her mission was really pitiful. She didn't know how long the days would be, but now it was like this. She was floating every night without rest at all, and she couldn't stop as soon as she entered the body. She was physically tired, and even she was mentally tired and wanted to sleep. Wanzu didn't know where he got his good strength, so he buried his body in Lily's body to let her rest when it got daylight. As soon as Lily attached her body, Wan's mother outside just sent Wanzu away and knocked on the door. Wanzu had locked it when she left. He endured the discomfort all over and managed to clean up and open the door. Wan Mu's eyes were staring at her sinisterly. She smelled the scent of love in the room, and Wan Mu was deeply moved. He took a breath and said sternly, "Lily, I see that you are also the daughter of a soldier. How can you let your husband wash and cook for you? He is a man. You sleep until midnight and still don't get up. Women are born to serve men, not him to serve you." Lily ignored Wan Mu's scolding. She felt very sad. The last time she traveled as Yu Lingshan, she had no meat to eat. This time she made up for it twice as much. Although she was not the one she felt every time, she could accept it every day. But it was she who had the body. Seeing her distracted look, Wan's mother became even more angry. "Ching'er was different from you back then." At this point, Wan's mother seemed to have swallowed the next sentence, but Lily guessed it from her expression. What she said when she came out was not good. After getting along with Wanzu these days, Lily clearly knows this person's character. He is calm, domineering and strong-willed to a certain extent, and will not be easily influenced by others. Therefore, after Zhao Qing's accident, she tried her best to find him to apologize. None of them were moved. Judging from what he knew about Chengzu in these days and the character of Chengzu in his memory, Lily knew that if Lily hadn't made trouble later and pushed Wanzu out from the inside, Zhao Qing alone would have never been able to do so. It is impossible to use any means on him. And if this is the case, Zhao Qing is not actually targeting Wanzu, but the original owner. After thinking about this, Lily calmed down and also knew that as long as she didn't make trouble with Wanzu, Zhao Qing would make trouble. And it is absolutely impossible to change the ending. Book lovers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 34. When she thought of this, Lily glanced at Wan's mother. "Mom, Zhao Qing is Zhao Qing, and I am me. At least I didn't cause any trouble with others." Her status was different. Although the previous owners were respectful to Wan's mother, but in my memory, after Zhao Qing curried favor with the Wan family, Wan's mother always disliked her and always gave her little shoes to wear. The conflict between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law finally became too much for Lily, a spoiled girl, and it turned into a conflict between husband and wife. Wanzu helped her at first, but Lily complained a lot. Wanzu is a man, and he must be impatient to hear about this kind of things between women. As time went by, Lily felt that he did not really stand by her. Here, she never thought that Wanzu was a son and could not beat his mother for his own wife. Feeling unhappy, Lily and Wanzu became even more violent, and finally pushed the good man away from her. It can be said that the tragedy of the original owner in the plot also has a certain relationship with Wanzu's parents. Now Wan's mother wants to deal with her like in the plot, but she will never succeed. Lily scolded Wan Mu, and seeing Wan Mu's livid face, she continued, "Mom, if you think there is any problem, you can tell Lao Wan directly. I respect any decision he makes. I have discussed it with him. If he really feels that he was sorry for leaving Zhao Qing when he left her, I also agree with Lao Wan's decision." After Lily said this, she didn't say anything more to Wan Mu, turned around and went out to get water to scrub her body. Wan's mother was left standing there alone. She didn't expect that Lily would say such words instead of being sour and jealous. For a moment, Wan's mother hesitated. After all, Zhao Qing was wearing it for her son. Being a cuckold is not a joke. She also knows her son's character well. If he doesn't want to look back, it will be useless even if 9 cows pull him. Wan Mu hesitated for a moment, then followed Lily. "Are you telling the truth? Are you not lying?" "Of course it's true." Lily wiped her face with a handkerchief and replied, "If Lao Wan wants to divorce me, I will never blame him, and neither will Beijia. It doesn't matter whether the shoes fit or not, he and I are the only two people who know best. My parents are other people, and they will never be angry with him because of our affairs. Lily's father is also a commander of a certain army, and his current status is equal to that of Wanzuk. But this is only temporary. After 5 years at most, Wanzu will climb to the position of teacher and surpass him. The implications of Lily's words made Wanmu flinch a little. Although she felt pity for Zhao Qing, she just remembered that her son married Lily voluntarily, not because he was forced to do so. Whether the two of them had a good life or not was up to her. It doesn't matter if people look at it. After all, although Wan's mother doesn't like it when her son buys and cooks food for her, her son is very happy. What's more, although she is a parent, her child has his own ideas when he gets older. He is willing to do things for his wife. If he really thinks that he likes Zhao Qing's head shaving job, I am afraid that the final result will definitely make his son angry. Then, Wanmu was shaken now, but she didn't necessarily believe it completely. Lily sighed and said directly, "If Mom doesn't know better, I'll tell him in front of him tonight." In this way, Wan's mother was finally satisfied. After all, if it was Lily who brought up the matter, her son couldn't blame her. She could also explore her son's words. If he was really interested in Zhao Qing, everyone would be happy. After all, although Zhao Qing feels sorry for her son has been with Lily for so long, and although Lily is already married and her body is occupied by her son, she said she does not blame Wanzu. There was no harm in it, so Wanmu naturally agreed. During dinner in the evening, Wan's mother winked at Lily, and Lily put down her chopsticks as expected. "Old Wan, is Miss Zhao still looking for you recently?" Wanzu didn't even raise his head, and just responded, "Why do you ask about this? If she truly repented, would you forgive her? If you still have feelings for her, I wouldn't blame you. Why don't I pack a few clothes and go back to my parents' house for a few days?" Lily said this, "I mean it sincerely, Ye Chunxiao is really unbearable. Only a woman like Zhao Qing who has experienced thousands of sales will think this is an advantage, but for her now, she is still a little scared." "Nonsense," Wanzu snorted coldly, slapped his chopsticks on the table, and reached out to grab Lily's hand. The family sat at a large square table for dinner. Wanzu sat between his parents, and Lily happened to sit next to him. On the other side, with such a difficult move, he actually bent down and caught Lily. Only when Lily came to her senses and was about to run away did she realize that it was too late. "Go back to the house with me if you have something to say." Wanzhu's eyes showed a sharp look, and he glanced at Wan's mother. Seeing that Wan's mother felt guilty, he didn't know what was going on. At this moment, Lily also knew what to say. There was no good ending behind the house. She hurriedly stretched out her hand to catch Wanmu and begged, "Mom, please help me." "Okay, if you have anything to say, let's eat the food first." Wan's mother glanced at Wanzu awkwardly. Wanzu stood up with a cold snort. He held the bowl in one hand and stood next to Wan's mother. Wan's mother, now knowing what he meant, Wanzuki moved to Wan's father's side. Wanzuki sat down and didn't take any food. He just said in a slow and steady manner, "Let me ask you this. If Zhao Qing and I still have what are you going to do when the time comes?" Although her IQ has returned and increased by 2 points, Lily has not reached the level of a normal person at this moment, let alone confronting the high IQ Wanzu. She did not hear the trap dug in the words. He said carefully, "Then shall I go back to my parents' house?" Wanzu stared at her and twitched the corner of his mouth slightly, but then he put on an indifferent face and said coldly, "Then what?" He was not angry. Lily was stunned and said happily, "Then we can live our own lives from now on. You want to find someone else to get married and have children. After all, in this era, it is not popular to stay unmarried for the rest of your life. Not to mention that other people's rumors can kill people, even parents will not agree." Although marriage nowadays is not as complete as the relationship between parents in ancient times. Life, but that's about it? Wanzu sneered and said something, and Lily actually thought about it seriously. She had lived so many lives, and men at this time were generally of very high quality. It would be great if she could choose a man to marry. Lily nodded. Wanzu smiled, but his eyes darkened, and all the fathers and mothers shuddered when they saw something was wrong. Book lovers are welcome to come and read, the latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan Erwr. Chapter 35. Come with me first, I have something to tell you. Wanzu put down the bowl and said to Lily with a smile. Lily instinctively felt that something was wrong. When she was about to go back to see Wan Mu, she saw her pretending she looked away as if she hadn't seen him. Lily cursed in her heart, but was dragged into the room by Wan Zolian. At the dinner table, Wan's father frowned. I think this marriage seems to be of the son's own choice, not like Xiaoqing said he was forced by Beijia. Xiaoqing apologized to them at the beginning, saying that Wanzu was angry with her and was forced by the power of the Bai family to marry Lily. When Wan's father and mother came to his son's house, he saw Lily sleeping until 3 o'clock in the morning and not getting up until 3 o'clock in the morning. Wanzola was needed to cook, and he believed this in his heart, so the more he looked at Lily, the more displeased he became, and he began to hope that his son would divorce Lily and get back together with Xiaoqing. After all, Xiaoqing came from the same village as her own, and was watched by Wanfu and Wanmu when she was young. She must be closer to someone like Lily who is not in the same class as Wanfu and Wanmu, and even more so. What's more, all the fathers and mothers finally raised a son. Xiaoqing's words touched the point in their hearts that they were most afraid of. They were afraid that their daughter-in-law would be too strong and that when they gave birth to a son, they would end up marrying someone else. Like a son-in-law, all the fathers and mothers became more and more anxious, so they hurried to the city. Why don't we go back tomorrow? I think my son is unhappy. Although Wanmu has more than one son, Wanzu, this son is the most promising. In the future, she will still have to rely on this son to support her in old age. Wanmu naturally, I didn't dare to offend him. Now that I found out that I had done something wrong, I felt angry and panicked, and even Xiaoqing felt a little displeased in my heart. Lily was also complaining incessantly in the room. Wanzu looked taciturn on weekdays, but Lily was really frightened at the moment. She was pulled into the room by him, and she didn't dare to say a word. She just instinctively raised her chest and abdomen, and stood up straight. But my calves were trembling. You have such a small amount of potential, but you still want to go back to your parents' home. Wanzuyi saw her trying to be calm and laughed. I was shaking even when I was standing, and you still want to follow other people's tricks and go back to your parents' home. There are no rules at all. Every time he cursed, Lily's shoulders shrank a little. When he said it later, Lily already felt that she had just said go back to her parents' house. How could she feel in front of Wanzu? She felt like she had gone out to prostitute a man and was caught by her husband when she came back. Like an interrogation, with shame and guilt in your heart. I was wrong. He admitted his mistake honestly, and Wanzhu's face looked much better. If you dare to bring up your parents' family again in the future, see how I deal with you. Don't worry about Xiaoqing's affairs, parents, don't worry about them. They can play as long as they like. Find a place for them to move out in 2 days and let them and Xiaoqing send them to the pile. Speaking of his parents, Wanzhu's eyes were a little cold, which he didn't expect. Xiaoqing was actually so capable that she brought her parents over. Before she even showed up, she made the family member shout that she was going to give up. When he thought that she was still thinking about divorcing him, all the people in the family were shocked. I feel a little bad. After finally finding someone she likes, she wants to run away. If he dies, she will have to be a widow for the rest of her life. She also wants to remarry. which is impossible in her dreams. Wanzu glanced at Lily gloomily and decided to control her more strictly from now on. She was already his and he still wanted to run away, which showed that he was not as honest as he appeared on the surface. She originally thought that the matter would be over in this way. While Lily breathed a sigh of relief, Wanzu's parents also said they were leaving the next day. Under normal circumstances, when seeing the parents who have come to cause trouble for the couple to leave, the son who has had enough of sandwich biscuits will definitely be relieved, and by the way, he will feel guilty towards his parents. Unexpectedly, Wanzu was not a human being. He kept Wanfu and Wanmu with a very tough attitude and did not allow them to go back. Seeing that a few days passed, Wanfu and Wanmu felt as if they had suffered something huge in their hearts. It was visible to the naked eye. The speed slowed down, and in the end Wanmu's eyes were filled with tears when she saw Lily, and Wanzu didn't say anything to allow them to go back. Xiao He, it's time to take over the property at home. When will the boss ask us to go back? Wan's father couldn't leave at the moment, and he felt a little uneasy. He originally wanted to see if he could go home by himself. Whether the move could make his son afraid, who would have expected that Wanzu didn't send them back with a guilty look on his face, but instead allowed them to leave. For a long time, Wanfu and Wanmu couldn't get used to living in the city. Secondly, the old couple couldn't guess what Wanzu was thinking. As time went by, they became afraid, but they couldn't figure out what was going on in their eldest son's mind. The thought made her burst into tears. Every time she wanted to leave, she was blocked. Now Wan's father couldn't help it and sent Wan's mother to ask Lily. Lily also wanted to cry. Every day, 10,000 fathers and 10,000 mothers lived here, and Wanzu seemed to punish her. Every time her soul floated in the sky, she felt sympathy for the original owner. When she came together, her body didn't feel like her own. That kind of, not to mention how uncomfortable it was, she just fell asleep and woke up as if she had run 5,000 meters long distance with a heavy load. She was also afraid that all her fathers and mothers would notice, so even when her soul was in a state of mind, she didn't worry about it, and was all focused on covering her body. He kept talking and made himself a little exhausted. "Mom, look, how do I know? Do you think Lao Wan will tell me what he is thinking and let me make a decision?" Wanzu raised her like a pet, with a very strong desire for exclusivity and overbearing. This feeling is not like a husband and wife who love each other. On the contrary, they are like Wanzhu's ban. Lily can't change the situation at all. Upon hearing Lily's words, Wan's mother sympathized with her. At first, Wan's mother swore that she thought this daughter-in-law was overbearing and lazy, but after a while, she could see that Wanzu was doting on her daughter-in-law. It's like being pampered by heaven, but it's also very domineering. Sometimes Wanmu can't describe the feeling. Although pampering means pampering Lily, Wanzu sometimes cares about Lily as if it's nothing. Wanmu herself thought about it. She felt a little unbearable. At first she thought her daughter-in-law was too lazy to get up, but later she saw the way her legs were trembling and realized that she didn't want to get up at all. It wasn't that she didn't want to cook, but Wanzu would feed her every time. She wanted to eat something herself. Wanzhu's eyes made Wanmu even a little scared. Hearing Lily's words, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law couldn't help but feel that they were in the same boat. Wan's mother glanced at Lily awkwardly, and the sympathy in her eyes happened to be clearly understood by Lily. Lily was a little confused for a moment, staring at Wan. My mother was speechless. Ah ha ha ha, actually the city is not bad. Wan's mother laughed twice, and when she saw her daughter-in-law fetching water and going to the toilet to take a bath, she quickly got back into her house. Wanfu and Wanmu lived in the city for a month, but they couldn't live any longer. Just when they were about to ask Wanzu to return to their hometown no matter what, Wanzu himself made a request for Wanfu and Wanmu to move. Book lovers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original. Canon Fodder strategy. Author, Juan ERWR. Chapter 36. Dad, Mom, I've thought about it. Since my parents will have to rely on my salary in the future, I recently asked someone to buy a house in a community. You don't need to go home to farm in the future. Just go live there. There is news from the military department. I may be transferred in a while, and we will move there together. Originally, Juan's mother was elated when she heard the first two sentences, but then she felt something was wrong. I still want to live with you. Juan's mother couldn't help but almost burst into tears, and Juan's father was so anxious that his lips trembled. Lily was okay. She lowered her head quietly and ate her food. Of course. Didn't my parents come to the city this time just to ask me to provide for them in old age? In this case, you don't want to go back in the future. I have already called my hometown. Juan Zhu's words were like thunder striking from a clear sky. Juan's parents were beaten to pieces and couldn't recover for a long time. Lily could only look at the two elders with sympathy and did not dare to say anything. Faced with such a powerful man, she didn't dare to intercede for these two old men at all. What's more, Wanfu and Wanmu originally came to the city to cause trouble for her. In her memory, Lily was made miserable in the plot. In the end, Wanfu and Wanmu returned victorious, but left an indelible rift between Wanzu and Lily. This trip should be regarded as Wanzu's revenge for the original owner in disguise, right? Another night passed, and when Lily returned to her body, she felt something was wrong. Her stomach seemed to be aching, and there seemed to be some heat gushing out from under her body. She stood up with difficulty and saw the sheets. The bright red color flowing down from his upper body made his whole body tremble. This is not the arrival of her good friend. It has been several months since she came to this body. Lily did not notice that she has not had menstruation since the time when all her fathers and mothers came here. When she thought of this, she could not care about herself. Her legs were still weak, so she hurriedly got up, packed up and put on her clothes. Just as she was about to go out, Juan's mother asked overly, "Where are Ziahi going?" Juan's parents are used to doing things in the countryside. Now they are nominally enjoying happiness in the city, but in their eyes, it is no different from being in jail. They are surrounded by high-ranking officials, and they are also like other people. She couldn't talk to her. She was locked at home all day long and almost went crazy from boredom. Wanmu just felt that talking to Lily would make her heart happy. Seeing that she usually sleeps until almost noon, she didn't get up until almost noon. Unexpectedly, Wanzu stood up not long after he walked away, which made him a little curious. "Mom, my stomach hurts." I suddenly remembered. Lily was anxious for a moment, and even Wanmu also became anxious. "What did you suddenly remember?" I suddenly remembered, should I go to the hospital for a checkup? When she heard that she was about to go out, not only Juan's mother became interested, but even Juan's father's ears stood up. Juan's mother raised her hand without hesitation. "Then why are you still hesitating? Let's go quickly." When she arrived at the hospital holding her stomach, Wanmu seemed to have thought of something. Her eyes were roving on her until she looked at Lily with horror. After the examination, Lily was in tragedy. She was almost 7 weeks pregnant with the baby, but she didn't feel anything. It was just that the baby seemed a little unstable. The doctor prescribed a lot of medicine to protect the baby. Wanmu smiled now. She was like holding an old Buddha's hand. As if he wished he could hold Lily in his arms. Thinking of what happened to these two people, he felt a little worried at the same time. It's true that the boss is not afraid of hurting the child. Lily didn't get up until 3 o'clock in the morning, so she couldn't hide it from Wanmu's eyes. Now she heard that she was pregnant, and the doctor said that the pregnancy was a bit unstable, and he wanted her to go back to bed to rest. He glanced at Lily awkwardly. At the same time, he said, "You are young and energetic, how about you sleep with me and your father sleeps with your man?" Lily had been wanting to hear this for a long time, so she nodded in a hurry. Juan's father also followed behind with a rare smile on his face. Several people had just left the hospital door. One of them seemed to have been waiting at the hospital door for a long time. He looked about 20 years old, with a beautiful appearance, a tall and plump figure, and a ponytail. The woman came over to greet him. This image appeared so many times in my memory, and I kept thinking of this person's name in my mind after coming to this body. I didn't expect that it would take such a long time before I actually saw this person. Ching-er, why are you here? Juan's mother greeted her with some surprise. The figure leaned over with a smile. She had long legs and a slim waist, and her chest was bulging, even though she was wearing an ordinary shirt. Wearing jeans can perfectly show off her curvy figure. Her long hair almost reaches her hips and is looming behind her waist, which makes her slender waist even more difficult to grasp. Mom, I heard that you came to the hospital. I was worried that something would happen between you and Dad, so I rushed over to take a look. Now that I see you are in good spirits, I feel relieved. Zhao Qing spoke softly. But the words quickly coaxed away most of Juan's mother's prejudice against her. Lily screamed in her heart. She knew the character of this cheap mother-in-law. Now she saw her looking so kindly towards Zhao Qing, and she couldn't help but feel sorry for Zhao Qing. Qing paid more attention to it. Resentment towards Zhao Qing welled up in her mind. At this moment, she was Lily herself. Even if she smiled innocently when she looked at Zhao Qing, it would be difficult for Lily to have a good impression of her. This is Brother Juan's. When Zhao Qing saw Lily, her face froze, and her eyes showed a bit of hurt. She bit her lips, tears rolling in her big eyes. While taking a deep breath, "Uncle, Aunt, I'm going back first." Seeing her like this, Juan's mother thought that she came here just for the health of her husband and wife. She felt a little pity for her and blurted out, "Why don't you come to my house and sit down?" After saying this, she felt Juan's father next to her glare at her with hatred. Juan's mother realized what she had done, but before she could regret it, Zhao Qing's eyes lit up. "Really? I've been waiting for a long time. I haven't even seen Brother Juan, and I don't know if he likes me or not." After she finished speaking, her face showed a mixture of hurt and fear, which made Juan's mother feel extremely pitiful, even if she didn't want to go back. He invited her to her home, but seeing Zhao Qing's expression, she couldn't bear it anymore. "Don't worry, I don't blame you for that. Now your brother Juan has figured it out a long time ago." Juan's mother thought about the child in Lily's belly. She was very happy at first, but now she felt a little embarrassed. "I was deeply afraid that Zhao Qing would be hurt if she knew the truth." Book lovers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Juan Erwr. Chapter 37. Lily sometimes really doesn't understand that Zhao Qing did something wrong in her last life. After divorcing Wanzhou, she enjoyed all the benefits, and only now is she regretting it. Who is like her, who has had everything she wants? Pursuing perfection? No matter how she got divorced in her previous life, even if she was a victim, it didn't mean that she was right. Wanzhou had been away for more than 2 years and there was no news. She also chose another life, but she walked the road by herself, and there was no one forcing her. If Zhao Qing hadn't taken advantage of the convenience of rebirth in the plot, how could she have caused Wanzhou and Lily to divorce? After all, even if Lily targeted her later, wasn't that what she should have done? She had withdrawn from Wanzhou's life, but was unwilling to come back again. Sometimes Lily felt that the existence of the reborn was really unfair to other people. After Zhao Qing was reborn, she had everything and made up for her regrets, but she never thought that her originally happy life would be messed up by her. At this moment, Lily didn't have a good impression of Zhao Qing. Lily didn't look at Zhao Qing when Wan's mother was talking to her, which made Zhao Qing feel a little hurt in the end and asked, "Auntie, am I displeased with Miss Bai?" Wan's mother's attitude towards Lily has changed a bit recently, but she has not yet reached the point of being intimate with her. In comparison, she is more familiar with Zhao Qing, so she naturally sides with Zhao Qing without hesitation. She didn't want to and just said, "Don't worry about her, she is just pregnant and she is probably in a bad mood." Hearing that Lily was pregnant, Zhao Qing's eyes suddenly widened, and a trace of unwillingness and resentment flashed in her eyes. Originally, everything in Wanzhou belonged to her, but now Zhao Qing regretted it. If she were reborn in everything, it would have been great before it happened. But unfortunately, now that she is back this time, she will never let go of Wanzhou. In her previous life, she thought it was Wanzhou's excessive demands that made her newly married body feel a little frightened. However, after her body matured, she realized how happy she was to have such a man, not to mention Wanzhou being like that. Determined, so masculine, he kept his word and was responsible, unlike the scumbags she met later who were only with her for her beauty at first and did not show sincerity to her at all. Zhao Qing was really tired in the end. She was used to that kind of empty and lonely life. Only later did she realize that she actually liked Wanzhou, especially after knowing that he later became such a high-ranking position. The woman standing next to her was supposed to be her, but unfortunately, this scenery was snatched away by another woman. She was really unwilling. At the last moment of desperation, she went to Wanzhou, and Wanzhou helped her, but he didn't get close to her, and he didn't show his lust for her just because her body was charming. Which made Zhao Qing even more obsessed. The man she loved was not a person who valued sex, but had a really good character. Therefore, after returning from rebirth, Zhao Qing immediately prepared to fulfill her regrets in her previous life. She must follow Wanzhou admits her mistake, and she will never make such a mistake again. From now on, she will stay by Wanzhou's side, serve him, and be the little woman behind him. Lily couldn't help but twitch her lips when she saw Zhao Qing's expression changing constantly. After returning to Wan's house, Zhao Qing went into the kitchen to help Wan's mother cook. Lily turned on the TV and watched it. At this time, the TV in the house was only black and white, and not everyone could afford it. The TV was very old, but watching it at this time gave Lily a sense of enjoyment. When Wanzhou came back, he saw her huddled on the chair, her whole petite body seemed to be embedded in the chair, and she was the only one in the room. Alone, Wanzhou didn't seem to see Wan's father and Wan's mother. Wanzhou threw the keys on the table, threw away his coat and walked towards Lily. He first leaned over and put his lips to her, then hooked her chin and lifted her face. After getting up, the kiss fell on her forehead. When he almost subconsciously kneaded his hands into her clothes, Lily struggled not to move, but there was the sound of bowls and chopsticks falling behind her. "Yes, I'm sorry." Zhao Qing's voice was broken, as if she was so weak that she would be blown away by the wind. Her face was pale, and tears were rolling in her eyes. She looked very pitiful. Just like a wife who had been betrayed and saw her husband having an affair with another woman, it made Lily subconsciously feel ashamed. "Why are you here?" After being caught making out with Lily, Wang Zhi's expression did not change. Instead, he straightened Lily's hair, resisted the urge to hold her in his arms, and calmed down the heat in his heart. Pulled a chair and sat down, hiding the abnormal changes in his pants. But how could he hide this move from Zhao Qing? Zhao Qing subconsciously saw the tent set up in his pants, and her heart became hot. She had also married Wanzhou and knew how powerful Wanzhou was. She has experienced so many men in her previous life, and few can compare with him. Although her body is still a little green now, after all, she has matured mentally and has tasted love, so her body the next time it was hot, it seemed like there was a stream of heat gushing out. A look of disgust flashed in Wan Zhu's eyes. He couldn't tell that Zhao Qing longed for him at this moment. Those eyes were completely filled with two words, I want her. He turned to look at Lily, but saw that she didn't seem to notice the changes in her body, with a blank look on her face. Somehow, Wan Zhu missed her body even more, and her expression became more bored when he saw Zhao Qing. In the eyes of outsiders, Lily's figure is not as good as Zhao Qing's, she is a little voluptuous, while Zhao Qing is just thick and slim, but in Wan Zhu's view, Lily looks so cute at the moment, especially her compared to Zhao Qing's unfamiliar and lustful look in his eyes. Wan Zhu couldn't help but feel more bored with Zhao Qing. Let me ask you, why are you here? Wan Zhu saw that Zhao Qing was silent and only stared at the middle of his legs. He glared at her coldly. Seeing that Lily still didn't seem to realize that her man was coveted, Wan Zhu sneered, and simply picked her up, so that she sat right between his legs, with her soft and voluptuous butt just stuck on his key point. Lily understood now. She was cursing in her heart. Just when she was about to struggle, Wan Zhu hugged her tighter. She could clearly feel the change under the friction. Now she wanted to die. Why don't I go into the room first and you ask Miss Zhao first? She struggled and didn't dare to move. This kind of scale was definitely beyond her acceptable range. Lily's ears were buzzing. Wan Zhu felt better when he saw it. How about I accompany you into the house? It's still early for dinner anyway. She didn't know if Lily herself was evil, but she always felt like she heard something in these words. Although there was a man in the space who helped her escape at night, he had not done so during the day. What if he did not take out his soul during the day? Book lovers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 38. Lily hurriedly shook her head and said bravely, then it's better to stay outside. The words between her and Wan Zhu made Zhao Qing finally shed tears. In Zhao Qing's heart, it was as if the two people were deliberately flirting in front of her. She couldn't bear it. Her voice trembled and she said, "Mo, could it be that you really want to hurt me like this? Are you satisfied?" Wan Zhu laughed, his hand still resting on Lily's waist. If Zhao Qing hadn't been there, he could have carried his wife into the house and moved his hands, but because there was a light bulb, he couldn't do anything. To entertain this woman he actually doesn't want to see at all right now. Sure enough, were you still too tolerant of your parents before? In the eyes of all fathers and mothers, is his performance suitable for inviting Zhao Qing home? A cold light flashed in Wan Zhu's eyes, and the smile at the corner of his mouth became deeper. Brother Wan. Zhao Qing stared at Wan Zhu with tears in her eyes, like a cuckoo crying blood. Seeing that he didn't answer, she called out affectionately. Miss Zhao, why don't you ask Commander Wang's son to see if he is satisfied or not? Wan Zhu asked Zhao Qing with a smile, but just this sentence made Zhao Qing's face turn as white as snow for an instant. The Commander Wang mentioned by Wan Zhu refers to Commander Wang, who is now at the same level as him. However, he was demoted due to his recklessness during the war years. After liberation, he directly sat in the position of army commander for several years. After moving, he saw that he was about to retire, but unfortunately his son failed to live up to his expectations and failed to take his place. The most important thing was that Commander Wang's son was the man who had a relationship with Zhao Qing. You still haven't forgiven me. Zhao Qing trembled all over, her lips trembled, and her whole face turned pale. Under the smiling expression, she felt as if she had been stripped naked. It was like the clothes were thrown in front of the public. She took the wrong path in her previous life. She was supposed to be a good general's wife, but later on her status became more and more humble. She became a plaything in the eyes of many people. She obediently took off her clothes when others wanted her, which was undignified. People. In her previous life, Zhao Qing had sworn before she died that she would put the clothes she took off back on again and never give these people a chance. She would get what she deserved and never give others the opportunity to take advantage of her. Unexpectedly, Wan Zhu's words at this time seemed to sprinkle a handful of salt on her wounds. Zhao Qing endured the sadness in her heart and said tremblingly, "Brother Wan, I really have nothing to do with him, I was forced." Regardless of whether it was forced or not, it was a big deal for a woman in this era to lose her virginity. Although she no longer had to dip into a pig cage like before, other people's rumors were enough to drive her to death and never get over it. If Zhao Qing hadn't gritted her teeth and survived this hurdle in her previous life, and later she also knew that after the reform, the atmosphere was far more open than it is now, so after she came back, she had the shamelessness not to be influenced by others, knowing that sooner or later she would survive until the day she came out. At that time, her little thing would be nothing at all. Zhao Qing also had an experience. Although she knew in her heart that this was a big deal, she knew that Wan Zhu's character would never pick up Wan Zhu like her again. Zhu seemed to be a woman who was already in ruins, but because Zhao Qing had experienced the future, she knew that it was nothing for a woman to have a few boyfriends, so she thought she had done something wrong, but she didn't think it was a big mistake. Miss Zhao Wanzhu's expression did not change, and there was a deep pool in his eyes. "Can the plate you just broke can be restored to its original state? It's not its fault that the plate was broken. I was originally very satisfied with this plate, but now it has been destroyed. Do you think I will pick it up and continue to use it?" Wan Zhu's words provoked Zhao Qing to become confused. She shook her head and shouted, I don't believe it." No matter how stupid Zhao Qing was, she could still tell that Wan Zhu was using a plate as a metaphor for the incomplete thing she had become. Zhao Qing cried sadly, "Brother Wan, I really like you, why don't you want to please give me one more chance? In that case, why didn't Miss Zhao hold her legs tighter when Comrade Wang approached you?" Wan Zhu's words finally made Zhao Qing unable to bear it anymore. Her face changed drastically, she covered her face, turned around and ran out quickly. In the house, Wan Mu heard the noise outside, and then came out with the dishes a little uneasily. She had been hiding for a long time, and she felt dizzy. Zhao Qing invited Shu Quan back. She originally thought that her son would take care of her and her husband. He gave Zhao Qing some face, but to his surprise, he didn't give him any face at all, and just told Zhao Qing to run away in shame. Wan's mother felt pity in her heart, and looked at her son's face, and became a little scared. "Mom, please don't bring dirty things into your home again. You and Dad are used to living in the countryside. I don't know what people in the city think. Zhao Qing shouldn't let anything into your house again. Otherwise, I think my parents should not. I would like to know what others think of you." Wan Mu said it directly and responded tremblingly. Only then did Wan Zhu see something was wrong on Lily's face, and his voice softened involuntarily. "What's wrong?" "I'm pregnant. Mom said I might as well sleep with her from now on today." Wan Mu opened her mouth to invite Zhao Qing home without asking her opinion. It was purely to add confusion to her mission. At this moment, Lily naturally it also made Wan's mother unable to express her suffering. As soon as she finished speaking, Wan Zhu didn't notice the words about her pregnancy. Instead, he heard Wan's mother saying that Lily should sleep with her, so he glanced at Wan's mother lightly. Wan Mu felt goosebumps all over her body, and then she realized what Lily had just said. Wan Zhu is already 27 or 80 years old. At his age, he has some expectations for the next generation. However, I don't know what's going on at the moment. When I think about the possibility that this child will be born from Lily's body, I will be disappointed. Later, when he ate her breasts, Wan Zhu felt a surge of dissatisfaction in his heart. He was very possessive of Lily, even to the point of being a little bit lustful, but he concealed it so well that others couldn't see it at all. "Just come out." At this moment, Lily said she was pregnant, and all the mothers thought that Wanzhou was stupidly happy, but only he knew clearly that for this unexpected child, he even had a hint of something in his heart that he was unwilling to admit. Do not like. The days passed like this. Because of the pregnancy, Wanzhou didn't touch her. Lily's pregnancy was very unstable. Her body, which was still voluptuous, lost a lot of weight due to the strong pregnancy reaction. Zhaoqing came here several times unwilling to give up, but Lily was pregnant and had no time to get involved with her. Everything was dismissed by Wanzhou. Zhaoqing wanted to pester her at first, but then Wanzhou didn't know what he had done, and she never showed up again. 9 months later, Zhaoqing was in the hospital, and Wanzhou specially hired a foreign surgeon to replace her. A son weighing 7 pounds was taken out by caesarean section. After the child was born, when he cried and wanted to drink milk, Wanzhou would always be thrown aside with a dark face by his extremely distressed mother. Whenever Lily wanted to breastfeed, he would always say with a cold and expressionless face, "My son should have a resolute childhood that is different from others. He should learn hardship and simplicity from an early age and start with small things." Because of this, since Wankai's child was born, other children have grown up drinking their mother's milk. He is the only one with a high family background, but he has been eating rice cereal ground by his grandma since he was a child. Children from other families are growing up. When his mother acted coquettishly, Wanzhou had instilled in him the idea that a man should strengthen himself and not be tired of being around his mother all day long. When he grew up, Wanqi became the outstanding child from other people's families who was the most resented by other people's children, and those ordinary children also became the most hateful children from other people's families in his heart. His father, who had not allowed him to be disgusted with his mother since he was a child, discovered one day when he grew up and became wiser, that it was not him but him who was disgusted with Lily all day long. Wanzhou had been thinking of a conspiracy to isolate him from his mother, but it was a pity that Wanqi understood this truth. By then, it was already too late. A child who has passed the rebellious stage cannot vent his anger even if he wants to hug his mother and cry, because he has been educated by Wanzhou's Hung to be a typical example of a man who bleeds, sweats, but does not shed tears. Because of this, his mother always thought that he was very strong, as if he was so strong that he no longer needed his mother's care, but no one knew that in his already adult heart, there was still hidden jealousy towards his father. It seems that behind every elite child there is a tragic childhood, and Wankai's growth history clearly shows this. 30 years later, when Lily attended a party with Wanzhou, an old man with gray hair appeared in front of Wanzhou and his wife holding his wife. When he saw Wanzhou, he started to smile with her. Lily smiling silently, she put her hand in Wanzhou's arm and looked at Zhaoqing with a numb expression. She seemed to be no longer sad or happy to see Wanzhou. Although she was reborn, she had not yet had time to implement her plan. She seems to have begun to learn to accept her fate, with a dead look on her face next to an old man who is old enough to be her father. 25 years ago, Zhaoqing married this teacher from a private school to fill a house. I gave her a small reward. She has no children in her life, but she does have a lot of stepchildren. It's really an advantage for her. Listen. He said that he married again 2 years ago, and the person he married was the Secretary General of the next mayor of Nanjiang Province. Wanzhou whispered a few words in Lily's ear, and stretched out his hand to tidy up the fine hair hanging on her. He liked the feeling of touching her long hair on her face. Now her hair has been grown very long. She doesn't wear a wig when she pulls it up. She looks like a classical lady, which he likes very much. It has been decades, but she is the doll he seems to hold in the palm of his hand, pampering but restraining, locking her invisibly by his side for most of his life. The feeling cannot be described in words. Lily rolled her eyes and rushed up to an official who came to greet them. She didn't want to reply to Wanzhou's words. In this life, Zhaoqing, a potential enemy, was invisibly killed. The beginning was a bit sudden, but the ending was inexplicable. However, no matter what, Zhao Qing's imagined goal of winning Wan Zhu's heart was not completed. In front of smart people, a woman who thinks she is smart will always be laughed at. For someone like Wan, Zhao Qing's thoughts, if he is in a good mood, he will naturally play with her and get out of the hail of bullets. And to the point where he is now, Wan Zhu is not the lustful man that Zhao Qing imagined. What he wants can never be influenced by others. Book lovers are welcome to come and read, the latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 39. When she returned to that space again, Lily fainted for a while before coming back to her senses. She touched her face, and just when she was about to speak, her information was displayed again in the space. Gender, female, variable. Name, Lily. Age, 21. Intelligence, 49, out of 100. Appearance, 60, out of 100. Physical strength, 57, 100 full points. Force, 10, out of 100 points. Skills, none. Specialties, none. Charisma, 21, out of 100. You did a good job this time. Because Wanzu is particularly infatuated with you, your charm has increased a little bit more. The cold male voice sounded, and Lily saw that in addition to her appearance, she had gained an extra point. The charm has also increased a little. Wanzu likes her, but because his love is not pure love like Lin Pingzi, the charm is not just 2 points. The difficulty of this charm depends on how many times Lily has done it. The mission was finally understood. She nodded, and the cold male voice continued to ask. I'll give you one more special point, where do you want to add it? Intelligence. Lily looked at her own intelligence without hesitation. As soon as she finished speaking, the light screen shook like water ripples, and the information immediately became. Gender, female, variable. Name, Lily. Age, 21. Intelligence, 50, out of 100. Appearance, 60, out of 100. Physical strength, 57, 100 full points. Force, 10, out of 100 points. Skills, none. Specialties, none. Charisma, 21, out of 100. Lily was relieved when she saw that her intelligence had reached the standard of normal people. Her appearance was already 60 points. Although she was not a great beauty, she could still be considered pretty and pretty in the eyes of normal people. Now that she was satisfied, she naturally said thank you, thank you. You're welcome. The man was silent for a while, and actually responded to Lily's words, and then spoke, do you want to continue the mission, or do you want to rest for a while? Although Wanzu liked her during this mission, in fact, that kind of liking had a possessive and nurturing feeling. Lily didn't like her. Although Wanzu had feelings for her, but because of this, she stayed with Wanzu for a lifetime, so she was not filled with melancholy like she did with Lin Pingzi. After hearing this man's words, Lily chose without hesitation, I want to carry out the mission again. The man didn't say anything again, and he never showed up. Although Lily felt weird in her heart, the dizzy feeling when entering the mission plot still made her let go of her inner feelings when she entered the mission plot. Accept your mission wholeheartedly. This time she traveled into an ancient mythological plot. Compared with the previous times, her situation this time was undoubtedly much more dangerous. She entered a world of monsters, and her body was at best mixed in with a large number of monsters. Among the protagonists and supporting characters, there is only one character who cannot even be called cannon fodder. Her character this time is still named Lily, and she is also dressed as a young woman who has been married for more than 3 years and has a son who has just turned 2 years old. Her husband is Song Junyeo, the eldest son of the current Grand Master, and she, although his father-in-law is a grand master on the surface, secretly he is a very ambitious Songji who has practiced demon magic and became half human and half demon. In the plot, although her husband looks like a dog, he is a handsome young man who is famous in Beijing. He has a very high family background, is personable and full of knowledge, but secretly he is a philanderer who likes to conquer everyone. A devil in the form of a beautiful woman. The beauties he likes need to be of a different style and different from ordinary women before he can be attracted to them. Because of this, although Song Junyu is full of women, he can achieve his sexual goals while going to Beijing. He didn't have many women, so he didn't have any bad reputation. Originally, although Song Junyu was a womanizer, because his wife Lily was of a good background, and because marrying her would help his father's status, he and Lily had been getting along well for more than 3 years. Lily was originally a gentle and generous husband and godson. Woman, if all these hadn't happened later, I'm afraid she and Song Junyu would have been able to grow old safely. Unexpectedly, there was a famous temple in the imperial capital at this time. There was a great monk in the temple who was said to be very efficacious. In his previous life, it was said that he was the reincarnation of the Fohu Arhat, one of the 18 Arhats under the Buddha's throne. He came specifically to save the world and save people. The Dharma name is Jishi, and he is known as the living Buddha. This person is said to have great magical power and respond to all requests. Therefore, this temple is very famous throughout the country. The story that ruined Lily's life now also started from this temple. A daughter, Chiao Sun, whose parents were both seriously ill, wanted to seek medicine for her parents, so she came all the way to this temple in Shangjingshuang to ask for some pills from Monk Jishi on behalf of her parents to save their lives. Monk Jishi expressed his gratitude. Because of her sincerity, she gave her 2 pills. Chiao Sun happened to meet Song Junyu in the temple, who was also ordered by his father Song Ji to find out the truth about Monk Jishi. Although Chiao Sun was born into an ordinary businessman's family, she was as charming as a flower shy of the moon. Especially, she had a gentle temperament that Lily did not have. Song Junyu was immediately surprised when he saw her. As a man of heaven, Song Junyu was delighted with Chiao Sun's surprise, but Chiao Sun unexpectedly felt a little admiration for him when he saw this well-dressed and handsome young man. In order to win the heart of a beautiful woman, Song Junyu deliberately used the old-fashioned trick of a hero saving the beauty. He was already looking like a human, but Chiao Sun was saved by him. Naturally, she fell in love with him at first sight. Song Junyu invited when she went to her manor to take a rest. Chiao Sun forgot her boudoir instruction that a girl who had not left the court should not follow a man casually. She believed him generously and followed him directly to the Song family's villa. Speaking of this, I have to talk about the strange pink flower that follows Chiao Sun. She was an orphan adopted by Chiao Sun's parents since she was a child. She has been with Chiao Sun since she was a child, and is as close as a sister. Lin Chiao Sun's parents, she had been looking for someone to teach Dahong martial arts since she was a child. When Lin Qiaoxun came out this time, Dahong, who had been close to her like a good sister, naturally followed her. She knew what her young lady was thinking, and saw that Qiaoxun had always been looked down upon by ordinary men, and Song Junyu was extraordinary and handsome, so he wanted to bring his young lady and Mr. Song together. Therefore, when he arrived at the Song family's villa, he first wanted to give the 2 people some space to get along alone, and secondly, he also had something to do when he went out. He thought that since Mr. Song saved his young lady, he would never do anything bad to her, so he left Lin Qiaoxun alone to get along with Song Junyu. Song Junyu got Lin Qiaoxun drunk, and the 2 of them naturally achieved good things. Book lovers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 40. After Lin Kyohoon woke up, she was a little scared at first, but under Song Junyu's comfort, she gradually became entrusted with her heart, and was coaxed by Song Junyu's few words to give up her heart to him. Unexpectedly, when Lin Kyoai returned to the Lin family, she found out that she was pregnant. His daughter had a bastard before she got married. Naturally, Lin's father was furious and demanded that his daughter's belly be aborted and find someone else to marry. Lin Kyoai naturally refused. With the help of Dahong, she quietly escaped from home and prepared to go to find Song Junyu. Now we have to talk about Lily, the original owner. She didn't know about the scandal between her husband and Lin Kyoxun at first. It just so happened that before the Bai family became prosperous, they were close friends with the Lin family, and Lily herself was still a good friend. There is a younger brother named Bai Yun. The two sisters have been very close to Lin Qiaosun, the only daughter of the Lin family, since childhood. Bai Yun has been secretly in love with Lin Qiaosun since childhood. He thought that he would never have a chance with her in this life. Unexpectedly, he discovered Lin Qiaosun's love after coming to Beijing. Traces, naturally like to come forward to recognize each other. Lily only has one younger brother, and seeing her good sisters from childhood, she naturally cares for her. Knowing that Lin Qiaoi was looking for someone when she came to Beijing, she warmly invited her to stay first. After all, Lily only had a younger brother like Baiyun, so she naturally hoped that her younger brother would get his wish, even though the Bai family today was no longer comparable to the Lin family in the past. But as long as her brother likes her, she is not prepared to value any family values, and is ready to go back and convince her parents to accept Lin Qiaoi, a girl from a poor background. Unexpectedly, after living here, Lin Qiaoi discovered that her sweetheart turned out to be the husband of her sister Lily, whom she had admired since she was a child. She started to feel a little panicked and scared, but with Song Junyu's comfort, she had always been attracted to Song Junyu. The love was deep-rooted, so naturally she couldn't stand the comfort of his sweet words, so she endured the guilty feeling, and Song Junyu found another place and moved out. It was rare for Song Junyu to see such a beauty, so he naturally liked him and ran out to have trysts with her from time to time. Lily can never hold back her anger. When she found out that Lin Kyoxun, whom she valued more than her own sister, had hooked up with her husband, Lily was furious. Her original love for Lin Kyoxun turned into resentment and meanness. After knowing that when Lin Kyohoon was pregnant with Song Junyu's child, Lily became jealous and had murderous intentions in her heart. She prepared a glass of poisonous wine for Lin Kyohoon to drink. Unexpectedly, Lin Kyoxun's parents came to Beijing at this time. They were heartbroken because of their daughter's disappearance and suddenly realized that even though their daughter had ruined the family tradition, they were still reluctant to let her go. Therefore, they decided to forgive Lin Kyoxun and let her go. She gave birth to this child, who would later be used as the heir to the Lin family. The glass of poisonous wine was accidentally drunk by Lin Qiaoi's parents, and both of them died of the poison. Because Lin Qiaoi gave the wine to her parents, she was naturally regarded as a murderer and imprisoned. She was in extreme pain. At this time, monk Jishi, who claimed to be a rescuer and rescuer of the world, appeared. He first used his great supernatural powers to establish a relationship with the emperor, and then sent his disciples to rescue Lin Kyohoon, who was also poisoned and almost died. The matter was about to be revealed to the world. At this time, Lin Qiaoi finally learned from Jishi that the person who harmed herself and her parents was Lily, whom she had always regarded as her biological sister. Therefore, after learning from the pain, she hated Lily. Dahong, the unreliable maid beside her, showed her loyal side. She took the initiative to complain to the emperor to complain about her daughter's pain. She suffered thousands of tortures, and both Song Junyu and Beihe were tortured. Reported to the emperor. At this time, besides Song Junyu, Those who were dazzled by Lin Qiaoai's beauty were Beihe's younger brother Baiyun. He began to exterminate his relatives and stood beside Lin Qiaoai. When his sister was brought to court, he showed disdain for her. With angry eyes, the truth of the matter came to light. When everyone kowtowed to the monk Ji Shi to thank him for his help, Lily was severely punished and sentenced to beheading for killing 2 people. At the end of the matter, Song Junyue, a scumbag, naturally could not escape punishment, and Lin Qiaoai naturally had an affair with Baiyun and eventually got married. Baiyun became an inconspicuous little character in the battle between the monk and the demon. After accepting the plot in her mind, Lily almost spat out her blood again. Lin Qiaoxuan, a girl who had not yet left the court, went out alone. Father Lin and Mother Lin seemed to think that nothing would happen to their daughter, especially since Lin Qiaoxuan only had her daughter with her. De Hong, who seemed to have a completely simple mind except for her well-developed limbs, and the 2 girls outside, showed no signs of guarding against the man she met, and was easily taken advantage of. More importantly, this man was someone she had never met before. Just because Lin Junyue didn't look like a bad guy and because he was eloquent, Lin Qiaoxuan did not desperately seek revenge from him after being taken advantage of, but quickly forgave him. After returning home and finding out that she was pregnant, the first thing she did was not only to be embarrassed by such a scandal, but also to protect the child. Having a child out of wedlock is a scandal in modern times. In ancient times, what weirdo would think the same as her? Do you think this child is the fruit of your love? She and Song Junyue had only met once. Where did their feelings come from? She ran away after something happened, and in the end, her behavior got involved in so many things. The original owner was indeed at fault, and the fault was that she acted too extreme. However, Lin Qiaoai was the sister she had liked very much since she was a child, and she was also the future sister-in-law that she fancied. She originally valued Lin Qiaoai very much, so in the end she found that she was the one she loved most. After the sister she admired robbed her husband, Lily couldn't stand it any longer, so she became very ruthless and could kill people with just a single move. After receiving the plot in her mind, Lily began to recall where the plot had progressed at this moment. But when she thought about it, she couldn't help but want to scold her again. At this moment, she couldn't care about anything else and started to follow the scene in her memory. She ran towards the place where Song Junyue hid Lin Qiaoxuan. She had already sent someone to deliver poisoned wine to Lin Qiaoxuan, and Lin's father and mother should have just found their daughter. The family was about to drink when they were reunited. It's time to celebrate. Lily was out of breath running all the way. She had always been pampered, so she had never suffered such a sin. When she called a sedan to carry her to another courtyard, as soon as she ran into the house, she heard Lin Qiaoxuan's sadness in the house. Unusual cry. Dad, Mom, what's wrong with you? The sound was sad and moving. Lily jumped off the sedan and ran towards the house. After entering the house, she saw that Father and Mrs. Lin had fallen to the ground. The wine glass next to her was overturned, and the wine was spilled all over the floor. She felt a chill in her heart, and without thinking, she hugged Mother Lin, who looked weaker, in her arms. She knelt on the ground and reached out to dig out Mother Lin's throat. Book lovers are welcome to come and read. The latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original. Canon Fodder Strategy. Author, Wan Erwr. Chapter 41. What are you going to do? Lin Qiaoxuan was shocked when she saw Lily's actions, and hurriedly reached out to push her. Lily glared at her and said sternly, "Get away, don't come here if you don't want her to die." De Hong, who had just entered with a smile and a plate of vegetables, was shocked when she saw the scene in the room. The plate in her hand slipped to the ground and fell to the ground with a clang. Wow, Mother Lin couldn't bear the pain in her throat, so she opened her mouth and spat out the food she had eaten and drank. Lily turned around and ordered her maid who had followed her into the house, "Hurry and get it." Come over with some clean water, be quick, and prepare some saponins by the way, rub them into foam, and bring them together at this time. Lily didn't know if it was of any use, because Lin's father and Lin's mother had already drunk the poisonous wine. Now she could only hope that the ancient poisonous wine would not poison people to death so quickly, hoping to give her some time to save her. Putting down Mother Lin, who had been vomiting for a long time, Lily suppressed the nausea in her heart and took her saliva-covered hand towards the throat of Father Lin, who was turning blue. Now Father Lin also vomited, and hung as if he had come to his senses. He said angrily, "What are you going to do? Miss Bai, considering that you have been on good terms with my lady since you were a child, how could you do this to our master and his wife?" The two women carrying the sedan behind quickly grabbed De Hong. Lin Qiaohun cried so hard that she kept calling her parents, making Lily feel dizzy. Fortunately, the girl next to Lily had already brought a large bucket of water and soap locust to make foam. Without thinking, Lily took the water and poured it into Father Lin's mouth, and then rubbed the soap locust to create foam. After pouring water into their mouths, he hesitated for a moment. Thinking of his mission this time, Lily still couldn't help but think about the man in the space in her heart. For some reason, she had a premonition that if she called him, he would appear next to her at any time. Sure enough, after Lily thought for a long time, the man suddenly appeared in front of her, and the surrounding scenery suddenly changed from dynamic to, the scenery was like a painting. Whether it was Lin Qiaoi who was crying or De Hong who was scolding Lily at the top of her voice, they all paused as if someone had pressed the pause button. "I want to beg you, let me save the lives of this couple," Lily made her request. Even though she knew that her request this time might lead to a more difficult task next time, for the sake of this 2 lives would not lead to death, but she still raised the issue. The handsome man glanced at her, and before disappearing, Lily held something that still looked like a soft capsule in her hand. She found that the man did not refuse her request, and she couldn't help but feel relieved. After biting it, she squeezed out the juice inside. The soap locust in front of me was dissolved in the water. As soon as the man disappeared, everything returned to its original state. Lin Qiaoxun was still crying and De Hong was still cursing. Lily was so tired that she was sweating profusely and poured water into the mouths of the couple. She felt the breathing of Father Lin and Mother Lin gradually calming down. Lin Qiaoi burst into tears. Father Lin and Mother Lin were dying, but fortunately, these 2 people finally gave their lives. Saved. Hurry up and ask the doctor to come back and diagnose them. We have to clean up the remaining poison. Lily wiped the sweat from her head and washed her hands in the clean basin brought by the maid, and then took the hand from the girl. He wiped his hands with the handkerchief. "Miss Bai, what do you mean? After torturing our master and his wife, you just want to let it go?" De Hong has a stubborn temper and never gives in to the powerful, so she knows that Lily has an extraordinary status at the moment. But he couldn't stand the sight of her torturing his master and his wife like this, so he started to attack her. Lin Qiaohun cried so hard that her whole body twitched, her head just kept shaking, and she covered her mouth with a handkerchief, as if she was too sad to speak. Lily didn't know whether it was because of the influence of her memory, or because she was upset when she saw Lin Qiaosun pretending. In the plot, Lin Qiaosun's parents were poisoned to death, but she had just seen it with her own eyes, and she couldn't even rush over from her house. Although she was able to rescue Father Lin and Mother Lin later, she still begged the man in the space, but she was delayed for a while when she rushed over. Coupled with her rough technique, it proved the amount of poison she had given. It's not big, and if Lin's father and Lin's mother were willing to save them, they wouldn't have died. If Lin Qiaoxun didn't waste time in panic and crying, maybe Lin's father and Lin's mother could have saved their lives. But just now when she was rescuing people, Lin Qiaoxun seemed to be crying so hard that she couldn't control herself. Even if the original owner was cruel, the unpaid death of Lin's father and Lin's mother was not due to Lin Qiaoxun's cowardice and incompetence. "Miss Lin, what do you think of today's events?" Lily endured the boredom in her heart and asked Lin Kyoxun. When she looked at Lin Kyoxun, she no longer had the same look in her eyes that she had loved Wujaiwo because of her brother Byun's love for Lin Kyoxun. Instead, there was a hint of disgust on his face. My sister. Lin Kyoxun saw that her parents were fine. Although she had been frightened very much just now, she had always been a woman with no independent opinions. In addition, because of Song Junyuo, she had met her now. Lily instinctively felt guilty, so her eyes flickered and she was speechless. Who is your sister? I haven't even walked in yet, and I've already called you sister. Thinking of the cheerful temperament of the original owner, Lily scolded Lin Kyoxun until her eyes filled with tears, and she lowered her head. Turning his head, De Hong, who was loyally protecting her master, couldn't stand it anymore, and said to Lily, Miss Bai, our young lady has always been timid, why are you scaring her? What's more, our young lady should also call you sister, after all, from now on, you may become a family. Lin Qiao's fair face blushed a little when she heard these words, and she lowered her head shyly. That's right. Since my husband has become the Duke of Zhou with you, it is indeed time to mention the matter of taking concubines. Lily's eyes flashed and she suddenly spoke. As soon as Lin Qiao heard this, her face changed, her lips trembled and she said. Bai, sister, I don't want to be a concubine. De Hong also had a face full of displeasure and said loudly, how can our young lady be a concubine when she is knowledgeable and courteous? She is also the daughter of a decent family. If you don't want to be a concubine, is it possible that Miss Lin wants me to give the seat to you? But you don't even look at it, why do you think so? Lily was speaking rudely to Lin Kyoxun at this moment, and her words quickly made Lin Kyoxun's eyes flash. Tears welled up in the eyes, and the outspoken De Hong said. Our young lady doesn't want to be a concubine. She has also thought clearly that Mr. Song is not a good match. She does not want to get involved in the affairs between you and Mr. Song, Miss Bai. Therefore, our young lady decided to accept Mr. Bai's kindness and go there. Later. Before De Hong could finish her words, Lily's face darkened and she shouted sternly, shut up. Book lovers are welcome to come and read, the latest, fastest and most popular serial works are all original.